Tommy Rooney.
Morning, Ger. How are you? How's Shane?
Morning, Tommy.
I'm very well. Is that a Meath Hill top or is that a Cratloe top?
It's a Meath Hill top, yeah.
Ah, very good, yeah. Paying due deference to where you come from.
True, yeah. I've plenty of Cratloe gear, but they're the same colours, so very handy.
Is that why you picked them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, let's get into this because there's lots to get to. This is the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna say it's a correction. It's a confirming of the facts of what we know before we get into Championship. There will be obviously lots of changing this year in Championship because we're going to get a lot of football matches. We're going to get a lot of games. There's going to be a round robin series in about 5 weeks' time. So we can do the power rankings as many times as we want this year, lads.
People aren't ready for the round robin. And I think people aren't ready for a good team dropping into the Tailteann Cup and then not caring enough about it and missing the opportunity to do stuff. I think all sorts of storylines are going to emerge. So
I agree.
That Derry under-20s story is rumbling on as well. Apparently there was a change in the wording of the motion proposed, which would have got Derry out the gap. But then when it actually got written into law, now they're not going to be out the gap. So we can talk about that a little bit later on. But let's get into it, right?
Yeah, let's get into it. Slide 4. London haven't moved, so they're still 32nd. A few changes here. Tipperary have slid back to 28. Longford are in 27th. They got a win. So this is taking into account the last round of games where there was obviously a little bit of shadow boxing and the league finals. Laois back to 26th. Failed to get promotion. Leitrim 25th.
Right, okay. Sorry, we have no graphics today. I'm spotting that. 32 London, 31 Waterford, 30 Carlow, 29 Wexford, 28 Tipperary -1, 27 Longford +1, 26 Laois down 1, and Leitrim also down 1.
Okay, so I can run through them and let you know then the kind of the movements. 24 position, Wicklow are up 2. Guaranteed promotion in that last kind of swing on the final day, and we're unlucky against Sligo in the Division 4 final. Sligo 23rd, they haven't really moved since the start. We kind of expected them to get promoted. Antrim 22nd, Limerick 21st, Offaly are down 1 to 20th, Down are up 1 to 19th as they eye up Donegal in 10 days' time. Fermanagh in 18th, guaranteed promotion. Westmeath, this will please a lot of people who've been giving me grief for having Westmeath so high, have slipped back to 17th ahead of the start of the Championship. I do think that they will be higher come the end of it. I don't think we saw the real Westmeath during the league. Meath back to 16th, where they belong. Jerry, you mentioned a big team going into the Tailteann Cup. I have a feeling Meath are going to end up in the Tailteann Cup this year. And it may end up being the best thing for this Meath side. Very, very young team, inexperienced. When I say maybe the best thing, I hope they treat it like they would do an All-Ireland series and just get that game plan right.
Will they though, Tommy? Will the players not head off?
Too much. Say it again, Shane?
Will players not head off if the likes of Meath are in the Tailteann Cup?
I think that's kind of the round robin's going to be in May.
It's too early,
so you're going to get your 3 games in May anyway, and then you're into a quarter final. And I don't think you can play in the States anyway. I might be wrong on this. I don't think you can play in the States until your county's out of the All Ireland, out of the series, out of the Tailteann Cup. So
right,
they're going to have to wait anyway till Meath are out. So obviously players will go anyways. That you'd never stop a player going. I don't think you should at the club or county level. Go and enjoy America, but I do think there are rulings in place that they certainly at the All-Ireland series they have to be out. So I think it's the same at the Tailteann Cup. If they go, they go.
Right. Tommy, this is the moment where the This Is Your Life music plays and Eamon Andrews pops out with a big red book. This is going over most people's heads. Happy birthday, Tommy.
Happy birthday, Tommy.
Thanks, lads.
We're stopping for a moment to acknowledge. Tommy, you better be prepared to be blushing, buddy. Wrote it there, Roisin. Who are we going with first? We're going with Trevor Giles.
Oh, hello, Tommy. How are you? Trevor Giles here. Big birthday congratulations to you from one good Meath man to another. I hear you're hitting a good milestone today, so well done to you. Hope you have a great day. Tommy, enjoy it. We'll have Sam Maguire back on the banks of the River Boyne before you hit your next big milestone. So we'll keep the faith. Colin will have the lads flying before come the Championship, and loads of good young underage Meath footballers coming through the ranks. So good times are on their way. So, but listen, enjoy today, Tommy. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon.
Trevor Giles has the good genes. He looks like he could still play.
Looks the same as he always did.
He does. That is amazing.
That's class, lads.
Oh,
Thanks,
we're not finished, Tommy. It's only getting going. Next, the man, the myth, the legend.
Hi, Tommy. Sean Boyle here. I believe you're hitting the third decade. Great time just to start your life. And if whatever you could do really would be try and keep the rest of the lads doing a little bit of work in there, because they're codging off you all the time. Listen, have a great day, Tommy. We'll talk soon. Up the Royal.
That's obviously Paddy and James he's talking about. One last one for where did you have them in the power rankings? Number 16, down 2, and this is how you get repaid.
Hi Tommy, Colin O'Rourke here. I'd just like to wish you a happy birthday. It's hard to credit that you've survived 30 years of the wild west of North Meath and have come away from it unscathed. But they're a tough lot down there. We could do with a few of them on the Meath team at the moment. Things not going so well, but they're going to get better. We have lots of good young players coming through, and it's just a matter of people keeping the faith. We will get there. Anyway, Tommy, happy birthday. Keep up the good work.
That's class.
That sounded a bit like a come and get me plea from the Meath manager there. If you were to redeclare your interest / intention, they could do with a bit of experience up in that full forward line.
That's class, lads. Thanks very much. I definitely milked this birthday. So I really appreciate it. That's brilliant. Thankfully, nobody told Gilesy about the argument we had on Mount Rushmore a couple of summers ago.
Oh, he was left off, was he, Tommy?
Yeah, I think Gilesy just about didn't make the cut. Didn't go down very well. That's class.
We can draw a discreet veil over that. We might come back to that in a few minutes' time. Let's.
Thanks very much.
So 16 Meath down 2.
And by the way, the Meath under-20s are in action tonight. And I'm telling you, lads, there's a good group of players there. As Sean Boylan, Colin O'Rourke and Trevor Giles said, the good times are coming. But they are where they are at the minute. 16th. Cavan are up to 15th. They won the league final at the weekend, Division 3. They'll be quietly confident of facing whether it's Antrim or Armagh in the Ulster quarter final. Cavan will be happy at where they're at so far this year.
So for Cavan to get into Sam Maguire, they need to beat Antrim or Armagh. Let's assume that for argument's sake that it's Armagh who'd be favourites to win that. Armagh would still be favourites against Cavan, but it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that Cavan could turn them over, and then they've got to win one more game after that.
Down or Donegal.
Right. Again, eminently doable given the way the circumstances have fallen. But if Armagh were just to handle their business and come through that side of the draw, you wouldn't be terribly surprised. At which point, Cavan, you'd have to say, would be right there amongst the favourites for the Tailteann Cup, irrespective of who else is in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if they got the job done at the weekend, there was probably times in that Fermanagh game where you were thinking Cavan were doing what they had done last year in the Tailteann Cup. I'm going to let a trophy slip away. Cavan, by rights, probably should have won the Tailteann Cup last year if you were looking at it on paper in advance. It was a very good Westmeath team, but people would have fancied Cavan going into it, and they let it go down the stretch. Let's not forget Cavan won Ulster 2 years ago. So 3 years ago.
Yeah, COVID shortened obviously. So Cavan are 15th. Kildare up 2. Back-to-back wins at the end of the season. Everything's coming up.
They're back, baby.
Everything's coming up lily white.
Look it, and Glenn Ryan and his charges steadied the ship somewhat. There is a good bit of movement in this kind of middle tier, lads, because you gotta move teams somewhere. Like you gotta. There's Kildare possibly higher than they should be, but who else are you supposed to put there? They are where they are. They survived. They finished 5th.
Well, they're scraping into Sam Maguire by the skin of their teeth.
Because they're not going to win their Leinster semi-final against the Dubs, but they will enter a round robin series, and maybe they can get a bit of a kick then. They're going to get 3 games, and who knows? There's only 4 counties who are going to be knocked out of the All-Ireland at the end of the round robin series. There's a preliminary quarter final there where 2nd position meet 3rd position, and that's before we get to an All-Ireland, and that's possibly why we've got no break between the provincials and the league.
We do love an old sexy marketing nomenclature.
It's a lot of games just to get rid of a handful of teams, isn't it?
Preliminary quarter-final. So sexy. Feel the preliminaries here.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't they just call it Wildcard Weekend and get on with it? It's going to be wild. There's going to be some team who comes from this who are going to catapult forward on the back of a victory. No, these are preliminaries. Don't pay any attention to it. You can ignore it. Draw a discreet veil over it. Watch the hurling that weekend. It's probably going to be better. That's the message I'm taking from preliminary quarter-final weekend.
I know. We need a little bit of work on it. We need to Todd Bowley it up.
Tommy, I have a quick question for you. So you the likes of Cavan there up to the 15th. I agree with you. I think they are deserving of their place up to 15th. Do you feel a pressure based on how vocal a county's support might be on social media? Because the likes of Cavan and
I'll be honest,
are
our
quite
conversation
vocal.
a couple of weeks ago where I made the point that a Cavan man couldn't bribe me, and you said, well, they wouldn't anyway. That's been brought up to me a lot more about any other moment in the power ranking this week. I wouldn't say I've gone soft. I would just say that, I needed to make a couple of corrections here, and Cavan probably deserve it. Like, they've won all of their games by the Antrim one. So
I think I'd probably still have Kildare. It's Kildare are ahead of Cavan. 15 Cavan, 14 Kildare, 13 Clare, 12 Louth, 11 Cork, 10 Donegal, 9 Monaghan. No changes there. That's a real. I've done my work here. I couldn't be.
But like, who goes there? Like, and
Donegal
Cavan
and free
possibly
fall
could be higher. They could possibly be higher, but they're not guaranteed to play in Sam. So what's the point in having them up there?
I know you're doing. I know it's recency bias, but there's only 2 teams have been in the top 6 in the country in the league in the last 10 years, and consistently for the last 10 years. They are Kerry and Monaghan. So Monaghan have been in Division 1 for 10 years next year. That means they've been in the top 6 in the country in the league.
Yeah, but this is the power ranking, Shane.
Yeah, they've just beaten Mayo, the only team to beat them. Kevin McStay's only defeat as Mayo manager.
Mayo's B team, yeah.
Yeah, listen.
A game that
in
they
Castlebar, still a strong
Get off
Mayo
the roundabout,
team.
Shane. Get off the roundabout. How many times have you gone around it at this stage? We know Monaghan survived. Fair play. Brilliant. They showed serious resilience. But let's face it, it's still a young group in Monaghan. They probably aren't the Monaghan that we've seen that, peaked in the last decade, won a couple of Ulsters, got to an All-Ireland semi-final, didn't they?
Yeah,
or did they?
They did 2018.
They got to an All-Ireland semi-final. They're very unlucky a couple of years.
You're sleeping on
Monaghan
them.
aren't there yet. I'm not saying they won't get back there, but they're not there yet.
I'm quite happy for you to sleep on them. That's fine.
I don't think we are.
By the way, the Monaghan 20s have, in the preliminary round a couple of weeks ago, beat Cavan. Beat Armagh by 2 points. Last weekend, they beat Cavan, a good Cavan under 20 team.
All right.
And they have Down coming up in the semi-finals.
Okay,
They're a good team.
Okay, you're. No, this is not local radio, Shane. That segment is over. We're not talking about Monaghan anymore. So let's do a bit more roll with their Roisin. So some of Tommy's colleagues. Here's what they have to say. We're going to start with the football pod, guys.
Tommy, 30 years of age. Happy birthday. It's all downhill from here, I have to say. I was texted over the weekend. You had a great run in your 20s, but with my own 30th birthday, I never started another match for Dublin. Literally, the day I turned 30, I was dropped by Jim Gavin. So, you shouldn't have any issues like that. You're young, you're fit, you look great. Have a great week celebrating this, because you really should make the most of it. Hope Schiefer's looking after you, and Bailey, and yeah, enjoy the big trio. What could possibly go wrong?
Ruthless from Jim Gavin. What did James O'Donoghue have to say?
All right, Tom. Just want to wish you a very happy birthday from the kingdom. The baby of the football pod, finally becoming a man. It's funny actually, because a lot of people ask me, what age is Tommy Rooney? And I say 29, and they go, geez, I would have sworn late 40s. So you're getting there. But no, on a serious note, hope you had a great birthday, and maybe this year you get that call you want off Colm O'Rourke. Happy birthday, Tom.
It's really Colm Collins you want the call from. But anyway, there's one final one that we're going to do for now. This is the most devastating one that we've ever had.
Tommy Rooney, how's it going? A very happy birthday to you. The big 3-0, which I'm sure you pointed out to Colm O'Rourke in multiple unanswered WhatsApp messages, means that your best years are still very much ahead of you at this point. Really miss the chats, really miss catching up with you, Tommy. Really enjoyed that last conversation we had last summer, for example, where you told me in no uncertain terms that my life would be in danger unless I quit my job and left the country immediately, so that you could pick up the mantle as being the custodian of the power rankings. Really miss the letters you used to send to my family home, warning us that we were in grave danger unless we all fled the country with immediate effect in order for you to take up the role of power rankings chief executive. So yeah, looking forward to catching up again soon, Tommy. Looking forward to seeing you. And just one other thing, quick word of warning, watching the Instagram very, very closely. couple of worrying developments. It seems that with the great responsibility of the power rankings has come a great sense of inflated ego, and we're seeing more of you on the Instagram, we're seeing more of the power rankings on your Instagram, and we are unfortunately seeing less of your incredibly cute dog Bailey, which culminated in a series of pretty grim allegations over the course of the weekend, and some photographic evidence that suggests that you actually turned your dog into a birthday cake, which is quite troubling news indeed. And I don't want to ruin your birthday or anything, but I would suggest that you come out and clear up these allegations with immediate effect. Otherwise, your 30th will be ruined, to be quite honest with you. So I hope we can get that cleared up, Tommy. Have a good one.
Sigmund Freud. That was a lovely one. By the way, the sunglasses are brilliant. Sigmund Freud.
I saw the sunglasses there in the corner of my eye. He's looking well. I can clear up those allegations. I was equally horrified as I was amazed by the birthday cake that was presented to me at home in Meath. So it was my mum and sister who came up with that idea, and I couldn't eat it until I had about 8 pints into me. It was nice, but when Mum said, "Do you want to bring it home with you?" I couldn't bring it home. So
it looked exactly like your dog. To be fair.
It wasn't actually Bailey, though. Just for the record.
No, it wasn't actually based on Bailey. It wasn't actually based on Bailey. I saw the photo they used, and Bailey's asleep, so I'm not going to wake him up.
Okay. Last one for now. Who's this?
Good morning. I just wanted to wish Meath Hill's finest, Tommy Rooney, a very special and a happy 30th birthday. I hope all's good, my man. Enjoy it all. You're cracking on a bit now, Tommy. Now residing, of course, in the west of Ireland, where, if anything, that will truly make a man of you. Enjoy it all. Doesn't seem 2 minutes ago since I joined off the ball and you were my wingman. But anyway, take it easy. All the best.
That looked like he's wearing silk pyjamas.
Life's good. And
you got Kevin up early for that one.
Right, let's keep going. Happy birthday,
Thanks,
Tommy.
lads. You're very good. I just little note here. You know, you aren't giving me that much grief, but Clare 13th, Cork 11th. Clare 3-1 at the weekend, and I had called down very early on in the football pod this year, and I got berated by James and Paddy for it. They're now 7-4 heading into the Donegal game this weekend. You know, there's a couple of very, very tight matches. There's 9 matches in Championship this weekend. There is a danger that the likes of Leitrim and Sligo could get caught away from home. They're going into the Bear Pits in London and Ruislip and in Gaelic Park in New York. There's always kind of, eyes on New York early days to see who they have, like what's going on. And they've got a pretty solid team out there, a couple of strong Galway players and a couple of late additions as well. So there's going to be some very tasty games this weekend. Keep an eye on the 9 of them.
Okay, so plenty of them.
Into slide 1.
Yeah. So
a couple of changes here. Roscommon are 8th, Armagh 7th, Tyrone have moved up 1 to 6, so they've swapped with Armagh there. Roscommon possibly hard done by. Derry Dublin. I made this change last night, lads, after midnight, so I don't know if I was right to do it, but I've gone with my gut. I've gone with what I've watched and what I've seen, and I've put Mayo into second place, and I've swapped them with Galway there. A lovely little bit of needle during the game, after the game. And if we get, and Roscommon, I hope they rattle the cages, and I hope they turn up the books this weekend. But if we get Mayo Galway in 2 weeks, that is going to be a cracker.
So number 1 is Kerry, number 2 is Mayo, number 3 is Galway, number 4 is Dublin, number 5 is Derry, number 6 is Tyrone.
Mm-hmm.
Armagh 7 and Roscommon 8. I have to say, I think that we might have seen Derry's ceiling, and I'm basing this off the fact that so much has been made of the tiny little squad they have. Like, we'll talk about this a little bit later with David Brady, but the squad is so small that this under-20s thing is actually going to have a negative impact on them. And how do you go from having a really good defensive structure to having no defensive structure against the Dubs? Like,
there's a couple of things there. James and Paddy are adamant that Gallagher is going to play the 20s that he needs, and they're not going to play 20s championship. He's adamant that that's going to happen. They think it needs to be a horse for course approach, depending on the county and the alignment between the board and the team and the manager. We obviously saw the blowout in Meath a couple of years ago with Bernard Flynn and Andy McEntee. Now in Meath at the minute, there's an agreement in place between Colin O'Rourke and John McCarthy that O'Rourke won't go near the 20s, even though there's a good clatter of footballers there that he'd probably love to have involved. They're going to stay going. There's a good team there. They're convinced that Derry are going to effectively take the lads away from their 20s team and put the priority in the senior championship, because that's a tricky game against Fermanagh they got coming up after that. Have we seen their ceiling? I wondered last year how we seen their ceiling when they got to the All-Ireland semi-final and they fell short against Galway. I wasn't sure that they had added enough this year. Like, in fairness to them, they've added a few bits and pieces. McAvoy, going full back, who was missing at the weekend, has freed up Rodgers to play the way he's playing in midfield. Chris McCaig wasn't there at the weekend. The wheels kind of come off when Glass went off. It is a thin team. It is a thin panel. And they didn't even have Lachlan Murray and a couple of players come off the bench late on, which made the difference in other games. I do think that there are limitations with this Derry side. But I'll say it again. I've said it a couple of times this year. There are limitations with every single one of the contenders this year.
Okay.
Positives and negatives with all of them. Derry's have probably been exposed and are more obvious.
I think Tyrone are ahead of Derry, actually, given the fact that they, as a squad, know what it takes to win an All-Ireland. And granted, they did it under fairly remarkable circumstances, with the game being postponed and then being back on, and then just the performance in the semi-final and final. Like that's the type of thing that stands to you. Go on.
Don't forget, though, think of the savage depth Tyrone had back then. And it all fell apart after that. Even their X factor coming off the bench, Conor McKenna, like, he was a huge addition back then. They weren't even starting. Were they starting McShane and Canavan that year? Did McShane end up getting a starting berth?
No,
like,
he comes off the bench too.
Yeah,
no, they're an incredible bench, but Canavan has stepped up, and that under-20s team from last year was fairly impressive, and they're starting to be an influx of new blood at training, and there's just enough now. So I do think that they turned things around in the league, and I did think that when they were All-Ireland champions, that there was a significant cohort of that team that's very, very good, and they're still there. So I would actually have them ahead of Derry at the moment.
Where are you on Galway Mayo?
Well, I think Galway are third and Mayo are fourth, right? Just on the basis of Galway have strength and depth. Their best players aren't playing at the very limit just yet, and that Mayo have come out and have gone for this early to try and get that confidence going, to get that rolling ball going, because it's so difficult sometimes to stop. But I just think that Galway, the whole thing about losing the finals, Liverpool lost about 4 finals in a row under Klopp before they eventually exploded, and I just feel like Galway have not been trying to win the league, right? And they've managed to build significant depth.
The nature of the power rankings is reactive, so you can't have the league champions in fourth.
I can do what I want.
You can have your own little.
So the nature of the power rankings is
Dublin in second.
What?
You've got Dublin in second.
No, I don't.
Who do you have second?
Kerry are second.
What?
Dublin are first.
I think we've seen a transformation in Dublin. I think we've seen, if you look at the team, right? If you look at the team at the end of the league, Con is fit, James McCarthy is fit, Mannion is fit. Now, I don't know what's going on with McCaffrey. I would like to have seen more of McCaffrey and potentially a full game at the weekend. I don't know what his level of fitness is like, but that's a different team this year than it was last year. They have a strength and depth which we haven't seen from them. They have an ability to change the game, and also they now seem to have decided that there's a game plan where we're actually going to try and beat teams by scoring goals. I think there's been a transformation. If say you went into last year's game between Kerry and Dublin, but you knew that Con was going to play, and you knew that Mannion was going to play, and that if they need him from the bench, you have Jack McCaffrey. Is it still a last second free from Sean O'Shea to win the game for Kerry, or does that change things significantly?
Don't forget, and I understand what you're saying here, but don't forget that Kerry should have been 7 or 8 points clear in that first half. They weren't.
Sorry, James McCarthy wasn't fully fit last season either for ages.
Totally.
And so I'm now saying that I have McCarthy fully fit. I have Conor Callaghan, who I wasn't sure was going to get back to the same levels, but looks like he's getting back there in terms of his explosiveness. And I have Paul Mannion in the team. So does that team get 7 or 8 points down against Kerry?
We don't know yet. Look, we haven't seen those Dublin lads together yet. It is. I would say they're all quietly confident in Dublin that they've got enough out of this league, and they've had enough people return with All-Ireland medals in their back pocket, and Cluxton, Mannion, McCaffrey, Con being fit. But like, I've been very reluctant to move Dublin and Kerry so far this year because, as you said about Galway, they'll be quietly happy with how the league went and what they've got out of it. Mayo moving into second, grand. A lot of bluster about them at the minute, but that's going off what we're seeing. They have changed. There is a difference there, and there is a bit of a is a bit more of a structure to how Mayo are played. They're probably the team that have changed the most from last year, from how they played under Horan. The Dubs, Are they going to go more direct? Like, did that kind of just happen against Derry because they weren't kicking points and didn't have people to kick points? They don't have Flynn's and Connolly's anymore to flick over points from 45 yards when they're playing against a blanket defence. Nothing else is working for them. And I would argue that apart from Con's directness, there was an element of flukiness. The first goal was a square ball.
First goal was definitely a square ball.
WhatsApp group.
I did. But
the fourth goal was a fluke.
Before the first goal was scored, there were multiple goal chances in the first half, and one of them comes from John Small, who blasts over and is like killed himself. Like, I can't believe I did that. And then gets the opportunity to fix it in the second half. I was like, okay, that's the AI is learning here, and it's becoming smarter than us.
Did you see the shot of Cluxton afterwards laughing after Small buried it into the back of the net?
Yeah.
I wonder did Cluxton have forwards in him at half time?
I don't know, but it was certainly...
There you go. Value of bringing them back already.
Look, you're sceptical about it. I'm not sceptical about it.
No, I'm on the fence.
Oh, I just want to know what game Jar's playing here. Like to have Dublin at the top of any power rankings at the moment.
Well, the vast majority of the panel have 6 All-Irelands, or 4 All-Irelands, or 3.5 All-Irelands. Like, many of them know exactly what it takes to win. And so
Kerry
won. They're not top. They, like, I can have the argument maybe third, but like power rankings, they're not top. Like, this isn't the legacy power rankings. This is the
exactly
up to date.
So Mannion, and so the players on the bench are going to be Scully, Costello, Howard, Paddy Small. They're suddenly the bench has gone from having nothing on it to having loads on it, and I don't know.
If that happens, they'll walk the All Ireland this year.
What do you mean if that happens?
I don't know if we're going to see that. I don't know if the stars are going to align the way that they're trying to get them to align.
At the moment, everybody's fit, which is really unusual and has been unusual for them. And look, here's the thing. Con gets injured in the first game, does a hamstring or whatever, and is kind of just back in time for preliminary quarter-final weekend. Then it's a different scenario. But as it stands, if James McCarthy is fully fit for the rest of the thing, like, that's at a level that he hasn't been at last season. I don't know. We got to go. But
okay.
So you're saying Kerry are 1, Mayo are 2.
I don't think Kerry have moved. I think Kerry are happy out. Everyone's talking about them going to Portugal this week. They have 3 weeks to get ready. They're going to breeze through Munster, and even if they don't, they're still in an All-Ireland series. They're going to be first seeds if they get through Munster in the round robin. They're going to be perfectly primed. They've been able to time their run. I would say the Dubs are in a similar boat. Galway and Mayo, like, they're going to be fine as well. I do think that is going to be an absolutely sensational July and late June. There's probably going to be a little bit more like the league that we've seen over the next 6, 7, 8 weeks. It's going to be good games, but we're not going to get a full picture of who the real contenders are.
All right, that's this week's episode of the Power Rankings.
Tommy knows his football.